Hello. I understand it's poorly lit. But you don't really need to, you already know what my ugly face looks like. You just need to hear what I have to say. Laying in bed. Don't particularly feel like getting up. And that's all there is to it. Um, I live in New Jersey, and we were recently affected by the Franken storm, superstorm, Sandy. And there's some people who are still without a home, without power. Cars got washed up and all types of craziness. People died. It was a horrific tragedy. And, as a result of that, a lot of things got crazy. Like, you had to wait for hours to get gas. People were fighting at the gas station and attacking each other. And, you know, it just proved that if, I don't know if anyone's familiar with the Twilight Zone episode, The Monsters, on Maple Street. You flick a light switch, you play with the income of our precious fossil fuel, and people tend to go fucking batty. It was scary. It was like, mini zombie apocalypse. People frantic and looting stores, and you know it makes me think that if this happened on a much larger scale, or if we ran out of gas or whatever, that we would be in a bad way. People would be lawless and going crazy. It would be Mad Max in like a couple of weeks. Either that or the military would have to come back and shut us all down, and we'd be living in, tenement camp, martial law, crazy. It would be just totally fucked up. Now, what our government spends its money primarily on, why are we in such debt with China? Because all them crazy devices of war we have cost $1 million to $1 billion each, and we have like 80 of each of them. That's where most of our money goes. To attacking the oil nations and fucking around in the Middle East for over a decade now. And, you know, the way I see it, if we put even half that into clean energy, then not only would it lessen our dependency on oil, but it would provide hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of jobs across the U.S. Let's say, for example, things that we know exist. Okay, I'm not going to get all crazy and fancy on you. Things we know exist. We know that wind turbine generated energy exists. It is there. You could build strategically located wind turbines. I mean, listen, I'm no scientist, I'm no engineer, I'm just a visionary. And I like to think that I'm fairly intelligent, so I'm just going to wing it. I might be a little wrong. I'm sure there's some technical assholes who are going to nitpick what I say. But the general idea is what's important here. So wind turbines, you could have them as small as for houses or as large for, small communities. Almost like, during the storm I saw all the transformers blow up one by one in the sky like lights. So, maybe about as sparse as those. And then on top of that, you have wind turbines generating wind energy. And we could also have, I don't know if they have these yet, I'm pretty sure they do, but submerged turbines, because the wind blows pretty steadily, but the ocean is perpetual. It never stops going back and forth. So you have two-way underwater submerged turbines. That's a butt ton of energy. And, that's more jobs. They have to be built. It's going to take years, to build all of them. And, I'm sure there's ways that we could do it without affecting our beaches or, sea life or anything like that. So, we're paying more people, scientists, engineers, construction guys, to get the job done. We also have solar panels. Those exist. I see them all over the city. They're attached to the streetlights in my city, and the streetlights were out when the power blew out. I don't know what that's about, but anyway, solar panels. There was a 13-year-old boy I read an article about a while back, and it said that by studying the trees and the way that trees grow according to the sun, that he found out a way to position solar panels using the Fibonacci sequence to generate 50 to 80% more electricity during times of the day and times of the year when, the sun changes, because we're moving around the sun. And also, the teachings of Nikolai Tesla could help us a lot too. For example, the Tesla coil. For those of you that are not familiar, it's basically a power source that can charge a cell phone, turn on a battery, or power electricity just by proximity. And if you go on the YouTube there, you can look it up, Tesla, Tesla coil, COIL. Look it up. You can make smaller ones. I mean, like I said, I'm not some kind of scientist or whatever, but that technology's been around for about 100 years. And when Nikola Tesla died, the government came and took all of his papers, his research, his studies. I know damn well that in that time, or within a couple of years with the technology we have now, we could perfect the Tesla coil and use those either on their own or as a backup, or even in conjunction with the solar panels, wind turbines, and all that. And theoretically, we'd all have power more or less for free or at low cost for the entire country. If you had a solar-powered car that ran on nothing but electricity, and you had the front and back dashboard solar panel, and you had as your air intake, you had an electricity generating fan, your car would be constantly charged from the sun and recharging while it's driving. What's so hard about that? Obviously, you'll have to get maintenance, when a part goes or something like that, but you won't have to be back to the pump every week or every 2 weeks or every 3 days. We need to be spending our money on scientific advances to better the earth, because we don't know how much oil we've sucked out of the planet already. And, if it's the earth's blood, because the earth is a living thing, if oil is the earth's blood, we as humans have about 9 pints of blood. Once we lose more than 2 or 3, we tend to die. How do we know we're not going to kill the planet? Or what if it's like I forget the name, what if it's like cerebrospinal fluid that we're draining? Or what if it's like the liquids that lubricate our joints, and eventually it's going to stiffen up and cause massive earthquakes and flooding and tsunamis and all that shit? I'm much more scared to die from an angry planet than I am from a Muslim extremist, because it's much more of a reality. And as Americans, especially those who are affected by Sandy, I had to wait in lines for gas and fill up water jugs and gas cans and things like that. I think we should really be looking at alternative methods to, power our lives that not only are easier for us and better for us, but also good for the environment and the planet. I don't know who needs to hear this or how many people need to agree with me for it to happen, but I mean, it's either that or keep sucking the planet dry and see what happens. Or see what happens when we run out of gas, or there's an even worse natural catastrophe that just stops gas flow altogether, and we'll be killing each other in the streets. A coworker of mine had gas siphoned out of his car. The world could be a much better place if we were just more about furthering humanity than fighting wars. Think about it.